Let's talk about Batra Daf Kuf Ayin Rima Amud Aleph, a few lines down. Vibat Emma, we're giving another answer as to the stira that we had earlier between the Beraita and the Mishnah. We'll get into it now. The Kula Ama Otiot Nekum B'Sira. Maybe it already holds that you can hand over a document, and that will be the acquisition of the deal. V'acha b'tzarich v'havira ayak kamif l'giber. The Mishnah and the Beraita is machloket whether or not if someone needs to provide proof that he's owed the money still. And therefore, Shani Dan Tana, our Mishnah says, and you don't have to bring a proof. And therefore, if you have the case of Yosef and Shimon's in the city, then you can uh, just bring a document with his name, and it doesn't make a difference if someone else has the same name. The Tana Barasa, but in the Braita, the Tana holds, you do have to bring a proof, and therefore you can't collect. Deitmar, Braita says elsewhere. Letters can be acquired through handing it over. Rabbi holds that you need proof. Rabbi says no proof. Rabbi bring the proof for himself. Why you need proof? How do I know that I need proof? The Tana Braita says the group of brothers who are inheriting property from the father. He also has a loan document that was made out to his father, and he says that it belongs to me. My father or my brothers gave it to me while they're dividing the inheritance. He has to bring a proof that it belongs to him. My lab sounds like who adin nachrani, not only this type of case, but even in general, other people as well, not just brothers. You would need to bring a proof that the loan belongs to you. Rav says no. Shani Achin, brothers are different in that case, not a proof. They shamtu madadi because they can easily grab things from each other. But in general, when you have no reason to suspect that the guy is lying, then you don't have to bring a proof for your loan. Igdamri, the inverse exact, different version. How do I know that you don't need proof? Because the Tanya Brother says, he brings a proof in the same Braita. This is the case that brothers, you need to bring a proof because brothers snatch, but maybe regular cases you don't. Abai says no. Abai says no, not a proof. We need to bring a case of brothers. Since they usually grab things from another, maybe therefore they'll be more careful, and therefore you think he does not need a proof. Kamashman, the Braita says you got to bring a proof. Both try to bring a proof from the same Braita, but both don't work. The Braita says elsewhere. This is third, completely different Braita that says the opposite of whatever he said to Tana. The same way people with the same name can, which already is against what you just said, can bring a loan against each other. Kach Mosin Zazah, so they also going against each other directly. Michael Mivki, what's the machlok over there going on? Kotrin Shad Lavev Alpha Pish and Malve Imo Mivki there. Machlok whether or not you're able to write a document for a borrower or even the lender is not there. Tamdan Zavar, the Mishnah, our Mishnah holds Kotrin Shad Lavev Alpha Pish Levo. You could write a document for the borrower even the lender is not there. And therefore, you have to be nervous about the following. The guy named Yosef ben Shimon will go to Sofer and witnesses and say, I'm going to tell him, really write a document. The of Yosef ben Shimon that I want to borrow money from my friend, seemingly harmless. What's he going to do? Because of the Katya they'll sign it. He'll take it. He'll say to his friend Yosef ben Shimon, this document says that you borrowed money from me because they have the same name. And therefore, we don't want that to happen. And therefore, we don't let people take loans once both parties are there. Tana Barasa, the other brother holds, and oh, the guy he has to be there, and therefore we're not worried about that. Now we mentioned our Mishnah that if someone else, if you found a document amongst his property that says Shalosh Yosef and Shema Parua, the document of Yosef and Shimon's paid, and they pick two people and say that name, Sharot Pshneim Purin, you can assume both of them are paid, or you have to assume because you don't know who it belonged to. Tama didn't sound sounds like only if it was found. Hello, but if it was not found, Matzi Mapik, if the guy had it in his hand, for example, and you can extract, but the problem is, our Mishnah says that you cannot have a document against them. The Gemara says no. The case where it works is where there's a third generation, and therefore uh, you know who belongs to. The Gemara says, let's see who the receipt has. If the third generation has the receipt, if the grandpa's name's on there, then you know who the receipt belongs to. The Gemara says, that case is the third generation was written in the loan, but not in the receipt. The Abai says, Hachi Kamar says as follows. If among the borrower's document, there's a receipt that says, Shalosh Yosef ben Shimon alay parua, the loan that that Yosef ben Shimon has by me is paid, and he borrowed from two people with the same name, Shtarot Shnim Peruni, to assume both of them are paid. Now, the next section said, what do you do to avoid problems? You said, you should add the family duration and write Kohen. Tana. Right, it says, everybody had this question. If both of them were Kohanim at the time, Well, if it wasn't for Kohanim, Yechtifu Dorot, you should write more generations. Keep going up the grandpa, great grandpa until there's a different name. Okay. How am I when someone tells his friend, his son while he's dying? Shtar ben Shirotai Parua. The documents, one of my loan documents are paid. If any of the I don't know which one it is. Shtarot Kulam Peruin. They can't extract payment from any of them because you don't know which one was paid. If two loans from the single borrower were there, you can assume the larger one's paid, but not the smaller one, because you go by the Hazaka. Marava. The guy says the loan document that I have in my hands is paid, and there's two of them. The larger one's paid, the small one's not. He says the debt of yours that is in my hands is paid. Shtarot kulam perin all considered paid. Remember, that's the case. Just because he said it's yours. So therefore, guys, my field sold to you without saying which one. So he says my large field, his large field is sold, or the field that I've sold to you close to the Tad Mechurla? Does that mean every single field sold, just like we said with the loans? Or says no. Hatam, in the case of the borrower, Yad Bal Hashtara Tochtana. The lender has the lower hand, and then if he has to prove that the larger document's not paid. But regarding the sale, the seller has the upper hand because he has the properties. Okay. Someone's lending money through a guarantor on the loan. You cannot collect from the guarantor. We'll explain what that means. That's his whole point. But if the lender says to the borrower, to the guarantor in the beginning of the loan, I'm doing on condition that I should be able to collect from whomever I want to. He can collect from the guarantor. If the borrower has property, if the guy has property to pay back, then you can't collect from the guarantor. Someone guaranteed the money of a ketubah for a woman. And the husband is divorcing her. Yet the husband has to make another that he cannot benefit from she cannot benefit from him anymore. Because they might conspire to divorce, let the guarantor pay it, and then they'll remarry. And then they'll scam the guy. So therefore, we want to make sure that they don't link up afterward. My time, how come the lender can't collect from the guarantor? Gemara asks. That's the whole point of the guarantor. Gemara says, you handed over the borrower to me. I'm handing the borrower back to you. Right? The guarantor can push it off. Gemara says, that's a Persian judgment to say that. The Persians actually go after the guarantor initially. So that's not the case. The Gemara says, no, Ella, what Nachman meant is as follows. The Persian court, they give unrational decisions. That's what you're talking about. The Gemara says, okay, Nachman, what does it mean that you can't pick clucks from him? Don't go from the guarantor first, initially. First, collect from the borrower. If he doesn't have, then you go to the guarantor. I'm telling you, but it says elsewhere. If someone lends money through a guarantor, you can't get from the guarantor. But if he says, I'm collecting from whoever I want, you can collect from the guarantor first. How do I know the guarantor becomes obligated to follow through on his commitment? I think next week's parasha, a couple weeks parasha. Ben Yehuda promised Yaakov that he'll bring back Yaakov Benjamin. We see that he became accepted. The Gemara says no, that guarantee was a kablan guarantee, a guarantee of an obligation, not a regular guarantee. The thief, give him to my care and I will return him. So that's not necessarily a guarantor. That's more of like a kind of like a loan, a debt that has to be paid back. Pasuk says the Pesukim says another pasuk says, "Beni im aravti le'ereu te'akad l'tzar kapecha nokashta im beneficha nokata beneficha aseh zot for beni v'nasel ki bata bekaf re'echa lech hitrapes urhab re'echa." We see from this pesukim that what? That if you owe a person money, you have to allow yourself to be paid out, possibly by a guarantor. If you have money in your hand to pay back, hater lo pisat yad, pay him back. If you don't have money, make sure you have friends that can bail you out. Arev becomes obligated is a machloket. While is binding, it does work. That's not, does not work. Arav lo mishaber. A guarantor does not become chayav, right? Because seemingly he's saying that the guarantor, where the guy says, "Yeah, I'll pay back," if he doesn't, maybe he thinks that it's not going to happen, and therefore he didn't have a kinyan. That's machloket. What do you mean? We know that asmachta halacha is that it doesn't work, but yet we know that there are guarantors. Gemara says, okay, fine. From the fact that he gets satisfaction that he's being promoted or honored as the guarantor that he's trustworthy, Gamar Mishtabed Nafshe, he obligates himself with his full heart. Says that if a person wants to say that I will on condition that I collect from where I want, he collects from the guarantor. No guy is no property to pay back the borrower. The borrower has no property. The borrower does have property. You can't go to the guarantor first, even if the condition. Like Mar says 1 second. If I went to the next time says the borrower has property. You can't get from the guarantor. Sounds like Tanakh holds that doesn't make a difference if the guy has property. If the condition was made, Tanakh holds what you can collect. Gemara says no. The Mishnah was missing words. If someone loans money through a guarantor, you cannot collect without getting the borrower. But if the guy said I want to have the option of collecting from who I want, you can collect from the guarantor. But the rumors that apply when the borrower has no property. But if the borrower does have property, you cannot collect from the guarantor, even with the condition. However, the kablan, the guy who's a kablan who has a more of a obligation. Even if he does have real property, he can collect from the kablan first without having to go through the borrower at all. Ashbag says, if the borrower has property, you can never collect, not a guarantor or a kablan. Every time Rashbag told a halacha is like him, except for the following cases. Arev over here, this halacha. V'tzidon, the case of Masechet in the Masechet Gitin. Ve'uraya, a case of evidence. Ureachna, the case of evidence, the quote unquote the last evidence. We had that as well in Sanhedrin, I believe. Amen.